Hi, Dennis. How you doing today?
Hi, John. I'm doing good.
Hey, you look like you're swimming in a pond in the Rocky Mountains. Where do you live?
I live about 9 miles from Denver, not
Nice.
far from the airport.
Ah, nice. So you were at Full Access last year in Los Altos with us, right?
Yes, I was.
Tell me, maybe the one, two, or three best things that you took out of that conference.
Well, the way we got started, John, was that you recruited me in a user group meeting to make a map. So I spent a lot of the time before the conference to build the map that ended up being in the iPhone and iPad apps that we made. And it was really a source of satisfaction and pride for me that it worked as well as it did. When we were building it, I was concerned about the FileMaker function that's called get location,
Hmm.
which only works on iOS devices.
Right.
So I really wasn't able to test whether it worked or not until we actually got there on site. And I was able to walk around and capture the exact location of each of the buildings and put that into the app. So that was one thing that started me off with a really good feeling about everything working. And then, of course, the next morning, what was even better was that the session got canceled where we were going to teach everybody how to use the app. And it turned out nobody needed any instructions. I didn't have one single person come to me and complain, how does this work? They just all figured it out, which was really satisfying. And then also on the first day, Richard Carlton interviewed me about the app. So I got a little bit of publicity out of that. Um, the guest rooms were great and comfortable. The food was really good. And, some people are fussy about food, but I always feel like within a 5 mile radius of anywhere that you are, there's somebody hungry. So I'm always grateful when there's somebody else who's preparing food, serving it to me, and I had nothing to complain about with that. I didn't get to go to as many sessions as I wanted to because I was so busy preparing for our Jeopardy evening and making sure that everything was right for that. Um, in the middle of the week, I came up with a terrific Q&A for the final Jeopardy answer, which was really funny for all the people there in the room. And the fact that that went over so well and everybody had such a good time, when the conference was over, I just left with a really good feeling.
Nice. I know that Jeopardy game was very popular. You're going to bring that again this year, right?
Yeah, I have to come up with some new questions and answers. I reached out to Rick Kalman the other day, and he told me that I can expect to have some new feature information sometime in May. Of
Nice.
course, he can't share it with me in advance, but at least that always gives me the basis of some FileMaker specific questions. And, the thing that I took so much pride in was that they weren't meant to be so difficult that nobody could answer them. And they weren't meant to be so easy that everybody would say, duh, that's dumb. We all know that. Um, I would say 80% of the time, the person who thought they knew the answer got it wrong, and it was the second or third team that got it right. So
Nice.
it's a delicate mixture of some humor, some technical, some personalities who were in the audience. Like I remember there was one thing I did about Michael Wallace, and I wasn't sure if it was going to hurt his feelings, and then I saw him laughing about it.
Nice.
It was great.
I think the person who won was like the youngest one there too, right?
Yes, Andrew Dam was the winner because when the scoring didn't work in the app, he kept score on his phone. So being a volunteer scorekeeper earned him first prize. And then also Becca, who had
Oh.
she had a lot of the bourbon, and she got up and made a speech about being the youngest person and the oldest and the only woman among 51 men.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that earned her one of the prizes too.
the alcohol will be free flowing again this year. That does
Right.
tend to lubricate the game shows. So, are you going to give a presentation or two? What do you have in store?
Well, I'm going to get together with Mike again and try to present our exit application, which didn't get enough attendance last year because
Right.
we were in a room at the top of the hill. And I think the timing also was that we were right after Ryan McCann. So everybody hung around Ryan, shaking hands and having fun, and they didn't attend our session. But it's a really important one for the kind of developers who are my age, your age, who are concerned about their future, either for retirement or mortality. I have some ideas for what we could do as a community to address that issue, and I want to put that into the session for discussion and maybe come up with something good that would benefit all of us.
We'll definitely arrange it so that you had a better shot of getting attendance. We're going to we've already discussed it. We're going to reposition where and when you give that session, because I think a lot of us are getting older, and that will be that'll be real important to make sure that you can get the right attendance this year. We're learning a lot. Last year was our first year, right? We had a lot of fun. Oh, we made a lot of mistakes, but that's how you learn, right? So.
Right. And going back to the same place where we already have been means
Right.
that everybody's already familiar with the venue.
Right.
Of course, there'll be some new people who weren't there last
Right.
year. But being in a familiar place is always better than coming to someplace brand new.
Exactly. And I think the attendance is going to be much bigger this year because we have a much stronger presence now that we've kind of established ourselves, right? So I'm looking forward to it. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I told you about the guest rooms, and there was that place down the bottom of the hill that I visited called the Labyrinth. I walked down the hill one day. I met Father John down there, and there were some deer walking around. It's really a beautiful scenery, and lots of trails where people could relax and get some exercise. So all in all, it was really a great conference.
Father John is a really nice fellow. There's, I think, 4 priests there, and he's like the sweetest guy there. Yeah, it's really good to spend a little time hanging out with him. He's the gardener for the facility. So yeah. Did you walk the trails at all?
I walked those trails one day. Certainly on the first day, I was walking around all afternoon taking the GPS location settings for the app, and that's how I met him at the bottom of the hill. And you're right that he was doing the gardening. He was riding a little motor vehicle with all the rocks that he was placing
Right.
in the garden. And I asked him to give me a ride up the hill, and he said, "No, I can't do that. You got to walk."
So that's good. Wonderful guy. If you were to pick one thing that you want to get out of this event this year for yourself, what would that be?
Well, I'll tell you, I want to have happen again what happened the first time. I had never met Ron Cates, and I didn't know anything about WordPress, but obviously working together with him in advance of the conference, I learned that he and Patrick were using WordPress to build the website. Well, a few months after the conference, I had a client who needed website work done, and the person who built his website had used WordPress. And even though I didn't attend Ron's session, I was able to reach out to Ron and say, "I got a client for you."
Nice.
And I wouldn't have known Ron, or I wouldn't have known that WordPress and FileMaker can be integrated if it hadn't been for full access. So I hope I can make those kind of connections again. I've worked with Taylor Sharp for 15 or more years by now, right. So we collaborate a lot. But it's always nice to meet somebody new who you can reach out to as an outsource, because we're not expected to know everything. We all have our specialties.
So I think what you're saying is what you want to get out of it is the collaboration, new friendships, and learn something meaningful that you could add to your career, right?
Right. And you suggested to me in an email a few weeks ago that I should present a couple of add-ons. So I've got 2 that I can present, and I can make the session about how to make an add-on. Nice. And then how to deploy an add-on. And I've got a couple of examples that I can use for that session.
That'll work. Great. Good. Well, we look forward to seeing you August 6th. I know you're coming a little early. You're going to help our production team set up and get together and be ready, get a good night's sleep for the next thing. It's a full 4.5 day event, right? Because you and I arrive on Wednesday. We don't leave till Monday. So this is the longest FileMaker related conference in the world right now. It's going to be rich. There's going to be at least like 35 sessions, maybe more. And
well, I made friends with everybody on the team.
Great.
And even though we didn't have to necessarily work together, somebody like Brian or Patrick there was a lot of mutual respect for what it is that we all do together. So that was another benefit of coming to Full Access.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you. It's only about 4.5 months away. We're coming up soon. So,
That's right. That's right.
well, thanks, Dennis. Thanks for spending time with me, and we'll see you soon.
Terrific. Thanks, John.
Thanks.